Sup, crumbs? Welcome to Footy Rants. I'm Benny Matthews. This is Blake Spencer, aka Cuth. Fingers crossed now, if you are tuning in on the Facebook Live, the stream is holding up a little bit better than last week. As we did say, though we are recording multiple versions of this, so that there will be one that I'll get on YouTube as soon as the Australian internet fucking allows me to upload it.
So in about 30 years.
Yeah, so you might see it in round 25. Yeah, brother. So we're away. Round one is done.
We've seen what they've all got to offer.
Yeah. So obviously I did the podcast earlier in the week doing a bit of a breakdown, but I sort of wanted to get your vibe on as a Bronx fan. Like, yeah, it's been almost a week, so you've no doubt had a lot to sort of think about and, your opinions on certain things. So, lost 34-12 against a very sort of new look St. George Illawarra side. But yeah, what are you thinking now as a Bronx supporter coming into this game against the Cowboys?
Look, it's easy to think, we're just going to get touched up and that we're going to be rubbish all year because last game was a disgrace and the halves didn't stand up, and we sort of predicted that. A lot of people had said that they wouldn't stand up.
Yeah.
They didn't stand up. They seemed to have no real direction. They didn't look like they were working together. They didn't look like they even had spoken to each other ever. They just look so, so shit, really. And they look shit. And but I think there's a bit more hope because I think they're going to get up for this game against the Cowboys. It's at Suncorp. There's no real excuse. They've got to come out and just have a dig. They've got nothing to lose after last week's performance. They just need to put in just have a crack. I reckon if Nick Reamer and Milford just play their natural game and just have a crack, that's probably the best thing that they can do. Yeah,
and speaking of having a crack and sort of even just the natural game, Nikorima, how do you feel Nikorima plays the natural game in the halves? Obviously, in my opinion, I know he played a lot in the halves coming through juniors at Norths, but we've largely seen him play either 1 or 9 in a Bronx jersey. Yeah. Do you think he's just not up to the standard of an NRL, or do you think it's more so the pairing of an Anthony Milford
and Nikorima
alongside Nikorima?
Good question. I think they both rely on or need another half in the pairing that's more structured and runs the show.
Because they don't come across as instigators of things, right?
No, they're not instigators. They seem like they follow on from other people's work and they play on the back of things.
Yes.
And also, obviously, the forwards need to be performing as well to give these guys room. But I don't think either of them. I think both of them need a different sort of half with them. So I think their pairing isn't right.
Yeah.
But in saying that, it is also very early on in Nikorima's career as a halfback. But I just think that Nikorima carved up in the lower grades and stuff because it's just not the same standard. In the NRL, it's so different. And they need more structure and they need more things to go their way, and they need sort of a little bit more breathing room because it's so tight. And if they don't have the room, these sort of players, they just can't do anything.
Yeah. But putting all latest facts aside, Ben Hunt has gone to the Dragons and come out and basically done his in quite comfortably in the end. Yeah. Let's even take ourselves before the season even started. What was your feeling as a Broncos supporter letting Ben Hunt go? Was it a loss in your eyes, or was it like, okay, we can fucking move on and this is the Milford era? Like, what was the general consensus in your eyes?
To be honest, I think at first I was like, it's probably Ben Hunt's time to move on.
Right.
He hasn't looked confident since that grand final. So maybe this is good for the club and good for him. But now I want him back. Now I think, no, Benny Hunt he's the man, to be honest.
Yeah, right. So it's almost a case of you don't know how good you got until it's gone, sort of thing?
Much. Yeah, okay. Pretty much. Yeah, and I think now if we could take it back, we would look to secure Hunt.
Yeah.
More so than we would. Milford. Because I think the club made a decision to stick with Milford, and they thought, you know what, we can allow Hunt to go because Milford's our man. That's what they were thinking. Milford's our man. And when Hunt went, they went, "You beauty, who can we buy?" Jack Bird's who they bought. Yeah. I don't know if they were the two signings that are the way forward for the club.
Yeah. What other options do you even have in the halves? Like, if someone gets injured...
Todd Murphy is the next string halfback. But, I mean, there are other options as well.
Would you look to change around what you do with Darius Boyd and Andrew McCulloch? Would you look at maybe putting McCulloch into the halves and and Nicarima to 9? Like, would you look at experimenting there, or would you try and bring Darius Boyd out of the back? Obviously, you've got Asako and stuff who can play out the back.
Yeah, you've got Asako.
You go Jack Bird in the half.
Yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah, there's a lot of options. There really is. I think if I was to pick out of the next option, based on the roster they have now, I'd probably say Jack Bird in the halves, maybe at 6.
Yeah, and so what, you look to develop Milford as a genuine pivot then?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. But then again, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, how does he go around the ruck?
Yeah, that's it. And he doesn't have that real sort of chat and that real, structure and organisation that someone like Cooper Cronk or even like Blake Green. You know, we've spoken about Blake Green off air and how much we love him and what he seems to take to every club. A player like him, if they could sign
it's just
him,
basics, isn't it?
It really is. It seems so basic. It does. You almost think, oh, gee, it's too simple for it to be the real solution.
Yeah.
But then you see it happen all the time. You see Blake Green go to other clubs, or you see clubs pick up that solid half to go along with their ad-lib half, and it works out well. So
it seems to be sort of the common theme at the moment in the NRL.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's kind of the trend.
Direct, and then you've got a bit of flair.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, well, we'll endeavour to delve a bit more into the Bronx lineup once we get to their game, that local derby against the Cowboys shortly. But otherwise, let's focus on all things round 2, and we'll kick it off from the top. So the first game of the round, we've got the Cronulla Sharks up against the St. George Illawarra Dragons.
Derby?
Yeah, another cheeky little derby. Obviously, the focal point of this match has been the dynamic of the Cronulla Sharks fullback position.
Yes.
So, Valentine Holmes, we can see there, is still named at fullback, although a lot of the media off the back of yesterday was that we will see Josh Dugan move to fullback. I tend to like it.
I do. I like it.
Yep. In the media's eye, he was signed as a fullback. He's on fullback money as we're starting to term things now. What the fuck does that even mean? I don't remember a time where a player dictated how much money he should be earning based on a position that he should be playing, that he wanted to be playing. Val Holmes comes out and says this, like, don't forget that this is a business and this is a privilege to be playing at this level. You do your fucking job.
That's
like the fact that you're not playing reserve grade, that's a fucking bonus within itself.
Absolutely.
And the thing that baffled me the most is, like, you had the most successful fucking World Cup campaign on the wing that we've seen in modern times.
Absolutely.
And you're saying you want to play a different position. Like, if I'm Flanagan, I'm like, mate, look at your results.
Yeah.
Fucking do your job.
I think
it's not like he's doing a bad thing.
Yeah.
Do you think it's more...
I think it's a bit of ego.
Yeah.
I think he wants to be number one. He wants to be the fullback.
Yeah, you don't see... I mean, we've got some freaks in the game, the Melbourne Storm wingers, perfect talking point. Even the likes of Cole Felt and Nathan Ross come to mind as far as finishing ability go. But, I guess... Yeah, I just can't really put my finger on it and why there is so much contention around it. It shouldn't... I think first and foremost, you got to do what's best for the team.
I think it just needs to be a decision made, and that's it. And if they don't perform, like if Holmes is on the wing and Dugan's at fullback, and Dugan doesn't perform, put Moylan back there.
Yeah,
and give him a crack. But I feel like there's too much talk about. But I want to play this position.
Yes.
Too bad.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. I'm the coach, and I'm telling you this is the position that's best for the team that I have planned.
Yeah, today,
and that's it. And you see players like Melbourne Storm players and stuff. You'd never hear argument from them about position.
No.
And they're the best club in the comp and have been for the last 10 years.
Are you getting a bit of a sense since they've won the comp in 2016 that it's starting to become, because it was such an elusive premiership.
Yeah.
We're talking, so it was somewhere in the vicinity of 50, 60 years. It's becoming a case of too many chefs spoil the broth.
Yeah.
It's a bit too much of this going on.
Too much lip going around.
Yeah. And I mean, they do have that slight balance of youth and experience, but at the same time, even some of those younger guys are starting to tick over. Matt Moylan, he's not new on the block now.
Yeah,
he's been around for a little while. Val Holmes is starting to establish himself. I mean, you can't even write off like guys like Sasai Feki and Latelli. Like, they've won premierships now.
Absolutely.
Like they've started to get that air about them. So I think off the back of that premiership, it seems like there's a bit of egotism walking around the club, and a little bit that, Flanagan would want to be fucking nipping in the bud pretty damn quick, and perhaps this is it. Maybe this is the move.
Yeah, because they're all trying to be top dog.
Yeah,
all trying to be top dog.
It's this power struggle, especially knowing that there's going to be a bit of a power vacuum. Once Gallen's gone, and Wade Graham's not getting much longer, Luke Lewis is probably going to be pulling the pins soon enough. So.
gee, shout out to Luke Lewis. What a legend, eh?
Yeah, it's a shame we're not going to see him in the first couple of rounds with that plantar fascia injury, and he really is going to be a big loss. But however, we see Jason Bakuya is getting the nod there again, and
he doesn't let anyone down.
Yeah, exactly, man. He's a fucking absolute workhorse. So Kurt Capewell back to the bench. He's still got Seguiaro, Sia Manafungai, and Joseph Paulo's on the bench. So still plenty of options around there.
They've got Trent Hawkinson named in the reserves this week as well.
Yeah, he's always still sort of up their sleeve. And for me, look, Moylan and Chad Townsend, it doesn't, when I see that on paper as a halves combination, it doesn't leave me shaking in my boots.
Yeah.
I know Moylan can punish you, but I think that was more evident when there's a bit of a reliance. He strikes me as that person who thrives under pressure, much like Tedesco was at the Tigers, because the expectations there and that production of that one-off play is so thoroughly needed. It happens. Whereas now, like, look, Val Holmes, Sasai Feki, Josh Dugan, Ricky Latelli, Aaron Gray, like, they can all sort shit out for themselves.
Absolutely.
You know, they've got a dominant forward pack now. Not that Moylan wasn't playing behind a dominant forward pack last year. But yeah, I just don't think long term, Moylan and Townsend, I don't think it's a winning combination for me. I don't see them in top 4 contention with those guys in the half.
Neither do I.
But then it leaves you in that dilemma. It's like, well, the only other position you play Moylan as fullback, but I think perhaps Dugan is a better fullback. But as far as the dynamic goes, does Moylan look better at 1 and you leave Dugan at centre?
It's hard.
It is real hard. You'd hate to be a fucking coach. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're almost spoilt for choice. So
it's a good dilemma to have, but far out. It's confusing at the start of a season as well.
Yes. Now, looking at the odds, I'm pretty sure it's balanced out fairly even. The Sharks were slight favourites earlier in the week. I think it's about $1.90 each way now.
Right.
So we're looking at the Dragons lineup. It's like most teams that won in round 1 is largely unchanged, which you would expect. But for me, like, how do you see it? For mine, yes, they look good on paper. That scoreline is super attractive. Was it a case of they played that well or the Broncos played that bad? Did the Sharks, you know, it was quite uncharacteristic. I think there was 35 missed tackles and 10 penalties. You know, even with a slightly under-strength North Queensland Cowboys team, it's not hard for a Cowboys team to get up for a Cronulla match.
Yes.
Just because, you know, they've knocked each other out of the competition the last 3 seasons. There was all that shit about Matt Pryor twisting Matt Scott's knee, and there's been all that banter in the media, you know, like...
Yes.
For me, I think the quality was, the foundation-wise, it was still there enough for Cronulla.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards Cronulla to bounce back. I think it's still going to be very close again.
Look, I think, last week's performance by Cronulla, they were playing Cowboys. It's tough. This week they've come. Everything's settled down a little bit.
Yes.
I think Dugan back at fullback's a better move for him.
Yes.
I do like the Dragons, and I do think that they look really, really good for this season. But I think the Sharks will get them this week. Mm-hmm. I think they will.
Yeah. And that's the point you made before. You know, it is only round 1. It's so easy to get excited, and I think that just comes off the back of the anticipation of round 1. And
I think,
you know, everyone's talking, the Warriors and you know, this, that, and the other. It's Alex Corvo, the strength conditioning coach, is like, what in the strength conditioning coaches from the top 4 sides last year? Like, what? Well, just because they were shit, now they're good. What about the teams that were good and they're still good?
It's easy to just jump on because you've got fuck all information to go by because it's only been 1 game.
Yes.
So you look for anything you can find. And Warriors playing well, Dragons playing well.
Correct.
They've been the 2 main sort of stories, I guess. Dragons did play really well the other night against the Bronx. The Bronx also played like shit.
Yes.
So it's hard to tell which contributed more, but I just think the Sharks are getting up tonight.
Yeah, and one last thing that I will add, I do like the style of attack that does potentially open up for these teams with the potential changes for the Sharks. And it's one big rap that I gave to the Dragons. Now that they've got that new shape with Ben Hunt, it allows Widdop and Duffy to sort of show up where they need to on either edge. I think with Dugan out the back, he can very much, you know, because he's a bigger body in the line
big,
too. So having him and Moylan, I think they can mimic, you know, that Moylan's
side.
Obviously not quite as quick as Duffy, but I think they sort of have that presence. And I think just that air of difference in having a bigger body in Dugan might just shift that balance. But, you know, I'm definitely going to be testing the waters, especially once Kurt Capewell comes onto the field. But I think the Dragons are equally sort of on edge with Tarek Sims. I'm still not 100% convinced. He probably performed a little bit better than what I expected.
Yeah, he played pretty well.
But, you know, I think he's still got a little bit more in the ways to prove. replacing Thompson from last year, an absolute fucking cracker of a season. So,
Yeah.
all right, so we're both on board for a Sharks victory there. Then we're on to game 2. So the first game is between the Roosters and the Bulldogs. So both round 1 losses. I just want to have a look at the comments here. Who we got? Boise. Shut up, Boise. I'm not talking more about Billy. We'll get to him in a minute.
Up the Broncos, Ryan.
All right, so diving back in. Roosters and Bulldogs. So as I said, both teams coming off a loss. The Roosters really disappointing.
Yeah, wasn't it?
You know, especially after Reynolds was ruled out for the Tigers, I thought, oh fuck, this could really get out of hand.
Yeah.
And for the Bulldogs, I guess the good side is almost the bad side. After the Storm game, it sort of left me sitting there thinking, did they really play that bad, or the Storm just that good, or is the fact that their best never going to match the good of the better teams?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, as far as teams on paper, and I know fucking that means shit in this game, they're coming up against the same sort of quality. You know, it's a very tough start to the season for the Bulldogs to take, you know, 2 premiership favourites.
Absolutely.
You know, and they've named basically the same side, the Bulldogs, minus Greg Eastwood. So Greg Eastwood has been dropped back.
Where is their side here?
A little bit further up, pal. Sorry, man. Went a little bit too far. Yeah, so Eastwood's been dropped out of the side, and Finay comes onto the bench. And then you've got with the Roosters as well, the only change, or I shouldn't say only change, but a massive addition is Luke Keary comes back into the side after that broken jaw. So we'll get our first look at a Keary-Cronk halves combination. But for me, the forwards, they've got to stand up a lot more. Waria Hargraves was subdued quite humbly, I think, by Russell Packer.
Oh, he was, mate. Yeah, Packer was all over him.
You know, and I think that just speaks volumes of the season that Packer's bringing to the Tigers. Yeah. You know, and I think that's what a club like the Tigers was crying out for. You know, how many times have they signed a decent forward and they've played arguably their worst football? The most notable, that is the first name that comes to mind that just didn't get anywhere. We've got some big love coming through. Who's coming through? What do you got, Big Keegsy?
Lockie's comments on Milford needing to learn from the likes of JT and Smith on how to manage your game.
All right, well, let's park that. We'll discuss that once we get to that the next game.
About Milford at fullback.
Beautiful. All right, we'll get into that. Thanks for the questions, guys. We will keep pushing forward. Let's have a look at that Roosters lineup again. So Tedesco at fullback. Obviously bombed an absolute fucking sitter of a try. You know, Ferguson
he was just
does
nervous against his old team.
Yeah, or either that or he's watching Lockie Wise play Oztag with us on a fucking Wednesday night. I'm fucking coming at you, Lockie Wise. You fucking suck.
Oh, Butterfingers.
But yeah, it looked like Cooper Cronk was almost forced to do too much work because the faith in Cornish wasn't quite there. But yeah, the groundwork is definitely going to be set with the forward packs.
Yeah, absolutely. The Dogs of War. They've always got a tough forward pack, the Dogs.
Yeah, Lord Farquhar, Aaron Woods. I think
what was doing with that hair?
Man.
I didn't actually see it. I didn't see the game first. And you told me about it. I saw the replay. I nearly fell over. That was putrid.
That's like...
absolutely disgusting.
That's a Mad Monday haircut.
Yeah, actually
is fucking disgusting.
They've given up on the year already.
Yeah, exactly right. Also, not super convinced with the spine just yet. The whole Mozambique, and we're talking about, you know, the forms of a halves pairing with a structured and a flary type half. We're not really seeing that here. You know, so we've got Frawley and Foran.
Both pretty similar-ish.
Yeah, Foran very much had quite a physical running game in his early days at Manly, but he's been out of the game pretty well for the last 2 seasons. It's been very sporadic, and not to mention the off-field drama the poor cunt's gone through. But, it just looked very clunky.
Yeah, they did actually.
And Frawley was sort of renowned for his kicking game.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
Yeah.
You know, so when your strengths are not rearing their head, it makes it for a fucking long afternoon of footy, you know what I mean? So,
to be fair, they were versing all the opposition.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
So it's hard, but
I think they're unforced errors, though, I would argue. You know, kicking balls out in the full, yes, you can have some inside pressure from a marker, but you've got to, that's your bread and butter, mate. That's an expectation.
Yeah. I think we'll see more from. I think we'll see a good performance from the Bulldogs. Honestly, I do.
Yeah, I think it'll be close.
Yeah, I think it will be too. Actually,
Yeah. I think it's probably a bit of a false read, like I was sort of saying at the start, that the scoreboard didn't really favour them, 36-18.
No.
But again, it's really not gonna. It's going to be more so on the Roosters to say, oh yeah, no, we're ready to play some footy.
Yes.
It's very much up to them.
Pretty much.
Yeah. As soon as because I think everyone was waiting, even when it was like 2-0 or whatever, 2-2 at half time during
Just
the Tigers.
waiting for the Roosters.
I think it was like, oh yeah, we still think the Roosters are going to win 13 plus. Like
Yeah.
they're still run away with it. They just need to find what's going to work for them.
Some of us did, didn't we? Some of us went and put money on it. Yeah, no, but you're right.
Don't bet live, kids.
Yeah. No, honestly though, yeah, they thought, like everyone thought. I was watching it and I saw people. I was with people and they were saying like, surely.
Yeah.
And then Tedesco dropped that ball and all sorts, So it was a shock to see the Tigers get up.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Who are you leaning towards, Cuth?
I'm leaning towards the Roosters.
Yep.
I think after last week they'll come out and they'll play a lot better.
Yep.
I still think there's going to be some issues. Like I still don't think they're going to be as flowy as what they will eventually be. But I think that you will see a lot better performance tomorrow night.
Beautiful. I reckon Roosters by 10. I reckon it might be close and then the Roosters might just sort of seal it.
Skip away
on the line, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Alrighty. The derby. The big boys come to town. Big brother versus little brother. Hasn't that really sort of twisted things around?
Everything's still the same.
So the most notable change for the Brisbane Broncos, we see young Tommy Opacek from the Redcliffe Dolphins. Shout out Tommy.
Finally.
Finally. It's good to see him. I don't know, after the season he had prior to that, filling in when he was needed, was a great finisher on the wing.
Yeah.
Spent some time in the centres as well. That's largely where he plays at Reddy. And after going through a double shoulder reco last year, didn't really get a sniff, unfortunately. But I thought Moga didn't do enough to warrant Opacek getting a call up at times. So I was very surprised that he didn't miss a game. And the big omission for the Cowboys, Michael Morgan finally ruled out definitively by Coach Paul Green earlier this morning. So Tamare Martin will remain at 6 for the Cowboys this week. All right, well, before we even sort of give our thoughts, let's answer some of these questions. So we had Keegan there.
Like, do you agree with Lockie's comments on Milford needing to learn from the likes of JT and Smith? Look, man, to be honest with you, I think he's a lost cause when it comes to being a structured half. I don't think he's a structured half. I think he's a ball runner, full stop. I honestly do. Like, I think his position was always fullback.
Yep.
And them throwing him in the halves was Bennett trying to do the same thing as he did with Lockyer.
Yeah.
But Lockyer and Milford are two very different players.
Yeah. And to go off the back of that, like, how do you go about learning off JT and Cam Smith? Like, unless you're around them.
Yeah,
like, what you don't think every single half is watching video on every other single half?
Yeah.
It sort of makes it hard unless you're being around him. I mean, he spent a little bit of time in Origin
Well,
camp
why doesn't Lockyer go and give him some help then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Lockier's the one saying it.
Who's obviously still got fingers very much in the Broncos' pie still.
Get on down to training and give him some tips, mate. But,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think that's going to help. I think Milford needs to play to his strengths. That's the type of player he is. So he needs to be a running 5'8". If he is playing 5'8", he does have ball skills. He does have good passing. He does have good game reading.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have game management. He doesn't have those sort of skills. So he just
And to be
needs
honest,
a half
he's never had to develop them because it was always Ben Hunt's job.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that's right.
He's never had to exercise them. So it's going to be interesting. He's no doubt going to have to evolve his game. But yeah, I tend to agree. Don't think there's any reason why you should try and fit a square into a circle. He was obviously signed for X reasons. There's no reason for the Broncos to want to change too much. Otherwise, you're signing him for reasons that you didn't sign him anyway.
That's right. Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? What Ryan said here, think Milford to fullback and Boyd to 5'8". I honestly think it's worth a try. I don't see harm in swapping Boyd and Milford.
Yeah,
I really don't. But I think what's in the way of that is Bennett's ego. He doesn't want to swap him because that means he has to go back on the decision he made to put Milford in the halves. And I don't think he wants Boyd playing anywhere else but fullback.
How do you think Boyd would handle playing in the line defensively?
Yeah, that's another thing. But honestly, I think he'd be all right. I don't think Milford's an outstandingly good defender.
That's very true.
So I don't think there'd be much difference there. The only issue I have with it is Milford is so small. Like, he's so short.
Yeah.
He might be a target for things like bombs and all that, like an aerial target.
Yeah, almost like when Ben Barber had the yips at the Dogs there, remember, before he left the Doggies?
Yeah, exactly. And or when Nikorima plays fullback for the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, Nikorima played all right actually as a fullback because he can insert himself into the backline movements. Yeah, and so does Milford. And Milford's a running fullback, man. I reckon he might be better as like a third receiver or, you know, a fullback role in attack.
Okay.
Maybe they could swap in attack and defence. I mean, I know it's getting a little bit technical, but a bit complicated, but I think it's worth a go.
How long do you leave it until you would try that? Is it if they get fucking pumped on this, you'd try it round 3 or like?
Yeah. Honestly, I would.
Yeah. What's your gut feeling? Like where do you beat the Cowboys?
Where do you beat them? Well, the forwards need to get up and get in their face. The forwards need to make, you know, you got Matt Lodge, you got Tavita Pangai, you know, all these guys, and McCulloch's back as well, which I think is going to help. But I think you got to really try and win in the middle against the Cowboys and try and play direct.
Yeah.
Don't try and run around them. Just try and play direct. Keep the ball moving. Just energy, I think.
Well, it's the best forward pack in the competition, in my opinion.
Exactly.
You know?
So if you can run them around a little bit, run them ragged, inside balls, nice and direct.
Yeah.
You might be able to tire them out a bit and create some space on the edge, but it's not easy.
No, exactly. It's easier said than done. You're exactly right. But the thing that concerns me for the Broncos is the fact that the Cowboys played pretty ordinary last week and still managed to get the 2 points. Yep. You're not going to see Jonathan Thurston play that bad 2 weeks in a row.
No.
Matt Scott and Jordan McLean both did not crack 100 running metres.
Wow. Yeah, big
that's
surprise.
That's a scary thing when you've got the likes of Jason Taumalolo still in the ranks, Gavin Cooper, Ethan Lowe didn't really get too much opportunity to inject themselves into the game. And then you look at the bench, John Asiata, Cohen Hess, Scott Bolton, Corey Jensen, all massive bodies. And, you know, Asiata's got fucking pretty handy ball skills.
Man.
Yeah, Cohen Hess got an offload. You know, so... I just like the style of footy that Corey Jensen brings. It's just his own. Like, he doesn't seem to try and prove anything. He just goes about his work. He's quite a fucking physical body too.
Is he related to Rod Jensen?
I don't believe so, but I could be completely wrong.
Did he play for the Cowboys?
Yes,
Rod Jensen?
yeah.
He did,
But completely different physiques for sure. I'm honestly not too sure. I'm fairly confident. I like the lineup. I think Javid Bowen's probably got to offer up a little bit more.
Yeah. I think he's always been in that boat.
Yeah, he's sort of played within his means. It sort of feels like.
Yeah,
you know,
if he has a good game for his ability, everyone's like, "Oh, he played well," but it's not really to the next level.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to get a big crowd at Suncorp? Do you think we're going to get as big of a crowd as we have?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is sold out.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think it sold out about a week and a half ago.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't heard. To be honest, I'd heard bugger all hype about this game in terms of Suncorp. So.
Well, let's hope that the fans still rock out for the sake of the game, and
I think they will.
That the Bronx fans don't be like, "Oh, we're gonna get pumped and we're gonna fucking go." You know what I mean?
I think they will because like they do so much marketing and all that. Like I think,
and everyone loves JT. You know?
There's just as many Cowboys.
This is the last time that he's gonna play at Suncorp.
Yeah, fuck, it is too.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, right. It is too. Oh, actually, no, you're right.
Yeah. Unless there's a final.
Yeah.
So.
Cowboys.
Cool.
Cowboys by 8.
I'm going to say Cowboys by 22.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Alrighty, so we move on to the start of Super Saturday. Warriors and the Titans in New Zealand. I think it's interesting because we're seeing you predicted correctly last week with a high-scoring game between the Raiders and the Titans. And then next week we see the Warriors take on the Raiders. So it's an interesting sort of 3 weeks. Yeah. But we were saying off air before we started just how fit the Warriors looked, how much composure that Blake Green sort of brought to their outfit. And I think it just allowed Sean Johnson to get... Like, he doesn't have to worry about that game management shit that we've been continually going on about. And he could start to play like Sean Johnson again. Like, some of his footwork was electric. Just the fact that even last year, some of the moves that he put on after the injury that he's had, like knowing myself, I've got a plate and 2 pins in my ankle and I move like fucking mud. His ankle was so much worse than mine and he still looks like a freak. Like, it's amazing the level of ability he's been able to maintain. And you look at that spine. Tuivasa-Sheck, Fusatua, Hiku, Kata, Mamalo. Wow.
Talk about size and speed.
Yeah, like that is a top 4 spine.
Absolutely.
Like, it honestly is.
Oh,
And I
from 1 to
really
7.
hope, as a genuine fan of rugby league, I hope that they fucking figure it out.
Yeah, so do I.
You know, even for Kearney's sake as well. He
Yeah.
seems like a bang-up guy,
Yeah.
you know, did his time at the Bronx and
Yeah.
gets his opportunity.
I just want to see a couple of other teams be good teams this year.
Yeah.
You know, like I think we are going to see that with the Knights, and you know, like there's been so many changes, but we're really due for another crop of teams to come through.
Yeah.
Because it's been Melbourne, Cowboys, Brisbane, Roosters for the last.
Yeah, Cronulla.
Yeah. Have been in there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, for the last 6 years at least minimum.
Yeah.
So you know, it'd be nice to see a team like the Knights or Warriors or
Yeah.
whatever really come through.
Or even like Penrith and Parramatta to
Yeah.
really start to dominate.
Instead of being just fringe on the 8 all the time.
Yes.
All these teams.
Yeah.
And
then-
Warriors, they certainly have the lineup to do it.
Yeah, and they remain unchanged, as we said. A lot of those teams that won round one, no changes, as have the Titans. So, you know, both 17s get their opportunities to have a crack again. Look, hats off to the Titans for being able to come back from that adversity, in the early stages of the match, being down 18-0 after 11 minutes was no mean feat to come back. But I think...
It's typical Titans though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I really liked Mitch Rain's input.
So do I.
He played really, really well in Nathan Pete's absence. He only played sort of half the game, just because he didn't really get any trials.
Yeah.
So he was just playing a bit of catch up. But again, the spine, it's not as intimidating from the Titans.
No, it's not.
Michael Gordon, Anthony Don, Dale Copley, Conrad Harrell, Philip Sammy. You know, Conrad Harrell obviously brings that air of wow. Michael Gordon is just solid. You know, this is his 4th club in 4 years.
Yeah.
It's sort of been the hand-me-down, I guess.
Yeah, but he's still very, very reliable.
Oh, 100%. And not to mention the goal-kicking
Goal-kicking.
abilities that he brings is a massive plus.
Your Dale Copleys and your Philip Sammy's relatively unproven.
Yeah.
Kane LG, unproven.
Yeah.
Ash Taylor, no doubt, great player.
Yeah.
Big future, but it's not an intimidating team to look at, is it?
No.
The best part of the team, in my opinion, is the back row. Kevin Proctor, Ryan James and Bryce Cartwright.
Yeah.
Ryan James and Bryce Cartwright are a little bit patchy with their form,
Yes.
to say the least. But Kevin Proctor's really consistent. And if the other two actually do fire, that's a damn good back row.
Yeah. And I'll tell you who was good off the bench was Will Matthews last week.
Oh, yeah, he was actually.
He was fucking
he
outstanding. For someone who, you know, he's got to be somewhere in the vicinity of 100 NRL games, you would think, by now.
I think
He's
so. 'Cause he-
played a shit ton off the bench for St. George. This
Yeah.
is his second stint back at the Titans now. He was great. And considering he had that fucking nasty hip dislocation injury that, you know, he only played that Charity Shield match last year for the Dragons. So, you know, there's some big bodies like Max King, Will Matthews and Morgan Boyle. There's some big bodies. It's going to be interesting to see how Jai Arrow lasts. As a front rower. I guess I'm pretty sure Wallace is back next week from suspension.
Is he?
So
they'll put him in
that'll
that
allow
way.
him to sort of roam. What would you do? Where do you reckon he
Look, I'd be
just comes off the bench and just plays in the middle a little bit and then they
Wallace?
let
No, I think you start Wallace at 8.
Yeah.
And Jai Arrow on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
because Jai Arrow is a perfect utility forward.
Yeah.
And then you just drop Morgan Boyle off.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd do.
What's your gut feel for this one, Cuth?
My gut feeling is Warriors.
Yeah.
Especially at home.
Yeah.
They need a win at home.
Yeah.
Because their home records in the last couple of seasons, I think, have been absolutely atrocious. I'm surprised anyone's even turning up to those joints.
Yeah.
They probably think the rugby's on there accidentally. They realise it's league and they're like, oh, fuck. But, no, look, I think the Warriors will get up.
Yeah.
But don't write the Titans off, eh? Like,
Yeah, the fact that they were able. But again, it sort of leads to that conversation of, were the Titans that good in coming back, or did the Raiders just
let 'em
implode?
in.
You know, we've seen that fucking
That's
time and
right.
time again over the last 2 years.
that's right. And but the Warriors, like you said before, the Warriors, Titans, and Raiders, they're
They're all very similar,
man.
yeah,
They're
the way
so
they can
similar,
throw a
man.
game.
They can throw a game.
Yeah.
They can pull anything out of their backside. Like
Yep.
you just don't know what's going to happen. So
Yep.
I don't really know the answer, but I actually am excited. I love watching these sort of games because
Yeah.
I have no emotional input, no
Yes.
emotional investment
Yeah,
whatsoever.
you can watch footy.
You just watch footy, relax, and if someone gets stretched off, that's okay. And if someone wins 50-0, it doesn't matter. And hopefully it's just a good game.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Don't
Couldn't agree
care.
more. I think Blake Green is the difference in this entire match.
Yeah.
Just allows Sean Johnson just to do what he needs to do, linking up with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. You look at that spine there versus Gordon, LG, and Taylor, and a lot more pressure is on Ash Taylor in that situation, and I think that's going to see the Titans come unstuck, and it wouldn't surprise me I would like to see the Warriors put in a bit more of a better defensive effort. 32-20, it's not super respectable.
No.
I'd like to see them put the Titans to the sword and just sort of tighten up their defence. And
I'd like to see them just actually dominate a game.
Correct.
From start to finish and in a controlled manner.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 30-0. It doesn't have to be, don't have to score 16 tries.
Yeah.
But just to dominate a game, win the middle, win the ruck, and just close a game out professionally.
Yeah.
That there, and that's what I think Blake Green can actually do.
Yes.
So that there, if they can start doing that and string a few wins together, if they had to string a few wins together before round 11 or whenever Origin starts taking effect of the competition, Origin, they've got no players in Origin.
Yeah.
And they are historically good during the Origin period, but I think this year is a real chance for them.
Yeah. Well, I think I was looking ahead at the draw. I think it's around 5, 6, and 7. I think they've got Storm, Roosters, Broncos.
Yeah, okay.
So that's when we're going to start to see
test.
how the first month of footy for the Warriors has sort of looked. We got any more questions on there? Or is it just lads just throwing chat?
Oh, we've got Bumper with his custom, his stock standard yo-yo yippee. Fuck me, dude. Yeah, go away, eh? Like, seriously, we're going to block you from this shit. Serious. I've had enough of you already. It's only been one round. No, we'll see. Fair game.
Alrighty. The second game of Super Saturday, Penrith Panthers up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Penrith obviously with a massive come-from-behind victory over Parramatta in the second half. And the Rabbitohs losing to the team we were just speaking about before, the Warriors. Look, I love Penrith. I really do love watching.
You just love Gus.
Yeah, I do love Uncle Gus. What a legend. All hail.
Sounds a bit weird that you love him.
Who cares if Griffin gets the flick? He'll take over. Let him play.
Let him play. On your Pugsy.
Now, Regan Campbell-Gillard and Viliami Kikau have been named to start, but they were named last week, so who knows if they will start off the bench again.
And who did they start in place for them?
They started with James Fisher-Harris.
And Corey Harris.
No, and Moses Leota, I believe. Yep.
Interesting.
Interestingly enough, Harawira Naira only played the last 12 minutes.
What?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's happening there. I didn't delve deep enough to know whether he was coming back from some sort of off-season injury, some sort of niggle, if it was a disciplinary thing.
He's too dangerous to not have on the field.
Yeah, it was interesting. That's the only thing I could think of was potentially coming back from some sort of injury. So if anyone does know out there, feel free to chuck it up on Facebook Live and fucking tell us how uneducated we are about this game that we love.
Help us out.
Yeah. Look, Dylan Edwards was a little bit hot and cold that first half, but he sort of settled in and then couldn't really do anything wrong after that.
I feel like he's got that in him, doesn't he?
Yep.
Those little periods. He's kind of like a Jack Whiten, but not as slippery.
Yep.
He's got fingers. He can catch the ball. But he does come in and out a little bit. But when he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
Dylan Edwards, big future.
Oh, and how good was Wonga Blake last week?
Oh, mate, he's awesome, mate.
Fuck, he's a big body.
He's so big and so fast, man. His top speed is crazy.
Yeah, and when you're looking at a team who dominated for, let's say, 45 minutes and didn't really recognise Tyron Peachy on the side, fuck, what a luxury to have.
Yeah.
When you don't really see him get involved too much, like there's still so much more to offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
James Maloney did sweet fuck all in his club debut.
Yeah, he really did, didn't he?
It was very much the Nathan Cleary show.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
He played extremely well. The thing that I like about Nathan Cleary, ever since he started first grade, he was not afraid to take the line on.
Yeah, that's right.
Even as an 18, 19-year-old, he's always taking the ball to the line.
He's
not afraid to
direct.
get hit. Yeah, and I think that's probably a big pat on the back to his dad.
Yeah.
No doubt his dad would have fucking drilled that in and say, look, if you want to be something special, if you want to be something different, this is what you need to do. Because, his dad wasn't a great player by any means, but...
Not by first grade standard. He was a good
but
player.
what we're seeing already after round one at the Tigers, he's a fucking great coach.
Yeah.
And his stints at the Warriors and Penrith were far from disgraceful.
They were admirable.
And I think what he's always worked towards is building a roster that fits the culture of the club.
Yeah.
So
do you think we'll see Hook go? Do you think we'll see Griffin pushed out but when it's convenient, when they can get Cleary? Do you think Gus wants Cleary?
You reckon they want him back?
Yeah, I think they might.
Fuck.
I think they might. I mean, it's speculation, obviously, but I think that they might want to get rid of Griffin and get Cleary in. Maybe not in the next 1 year or two, 1 or 2 years, but maybe in the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be an interesting dynamic, a risky dynamic, I think.
With his son in the team.
Yeah, there's always speculation up to how well that can work. But yeah, I mean, fucking anything can happen.
Gus,
Rugby
Gus,
league,
I know
yeah.
that Gus loves him. I know that
Yeah.
Gus loves Ivan Cleary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see. Rabbitohs?
Unfortunately, Adam Reynolds out with that knee injury,
Again.
so Adam Duihi comes into the side. So, well, it's pretty fucking evident that Robbie Farah is very much on the outer, isn't really rated at the club anymore. And to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the Super League before June 30.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it'd be a bit of a sad way for him to go, not on necessarily his own terms, but, you know.
Again, he got pushed out of the Tigers, and I've been hearing that for a while, that he's been on the outer at the Rabbits. So.
Yeah.
And the new coach coming in he probably just doesn't care about, reputations and things. He's probably just thought, I'm just going to pick my best 17 every week. That's it. No arguments. So
and to be fair, I think he's probably looking to establish some sort of gameplay. And if I'm looking at a style of play that suits my two gun centres in Gagai and Greg Inglis, and even if Inglis goes to fullback and Johnson is shuffled back around in the wing and centres, it's flat and fast, and Damien Cook offers that.
Oh yeah.
You know, that running game is electric. But I felt that the Warriors contained him quite well. You know, Isaac Luke played all over him. It was fucking amazing to watch someone sort of come back out of the rugby league wilderness and start to actually play like we know he can play.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Sam Burgess comes up into the front row.
Oh, okay.
Cam Murray goes to lock. Mark Nichols on the bench. Tyrell Fuimaono replaces Heimel Hunt in the 17. So, yeah, you've got your back row of John Sutton and Angus Crichton, Cam Murray. So, a good balance of experience and youth. Cam Murray, I think, has been very good since making his NRL debut. He's got quite an interesting build. He's right on that. He's not tiny, but he's not massive.
Yeah.
But he's quite strong pound for pound. Now, we know he can play a little bit of 9 as well, so you've got that to fall back on when Cook starts to gas a little bit, and you can start to play around with things off the bench. So, look, if the fucking Burgess brothers decide to fire and take it to the Penrith forward pack, you know, we know Cody Walker's got the fucking destructive capabilities to pull this team apart, no doubt. But again, I think there's just more talent dispersed across this Panthers team to be able to handle the questions that the Rabbitohs ask of them.
Absolutely.
So in my opinion, I think the Rabbitohs are going to be 0-2 to start the season, especially going to Penrith Stadium, you know.
I think this is a pretty clear-cut one, personally.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's Panthers by a fairly convincing margin, maybe about 12 to 16.
Yeah, if they've been put to the sword by the Warriors, it wouldn't surprise me. A more structured, disciplined team really starts to fucking tighten up on them, eh?
Exactly right. They'll just grind them down a bit.
Yeah. Ooh, alrighty. Storm versus the Tigers. Again, another side that's up against it for the first 2 rounds. The Tigers opening with the Roosters and now the Melbourne Storm. Big positives for the Storm. Billy Slater's back for game 300, so he becomes the 31st player in the game to reach such a milestone, which sees Cameron Munster move back to 6 and Riley Jacks will drop back to the Falcons back in the Queensland Cup.
Full strength.
Yeah, we're here now.
Yep.
We're here.
That's the team.
And
you've still got players like Joe Stimson missing out, who's a very good player.
Crazy.
Christian Welch, I think, played all right last week, from memory.
Yeah.
He stood up. But that team, man, like, poor old Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't see them winning. I just can't see any contest.
Yeah.
Down in Melbourne.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part too. Yeah, you're going down there. It's a big occasion. Billy Slater's 300th.
It's just too much going for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't really know if we have to mount much more of an argument than what we've already laid forward. Ben Madalino's been named in the starting lineup with Eisenhuth going back to the bench. It's great to see young Tyson Gamble there named in the reserve. So young Tyson played at Reddy last year. Got picked up by the Tigers. So, you know, he's obviously doing his thing and is holding thereabouts with the injured Josh Reynolds. No doubt he'll be sucking up a lot of the time of guys like Reynolds and Marshall trying to develop his game. And I hope he gets a crack at some point during the year. It'd be good to see these young kids continue to develop, especially playing behind such a dominant forward pack now. Like, look at the guys you got there: Russell Packer, Ben Madalino, Lawrence, Rocco, Roger Taylor. Like, there's a wealth of experience there to play behind. You know,
very experienced.
Yeah, and you know, I think
we've got some good young forwards coming through Rabbitoh as well.
Yeah, that Eisenhuth and Alex Twal
Alex
from
Twal.
Para last
Alex
year.
Twal. Josh Aloiai, he's had a few games under his belt, but
Yeah.
gee, he can run the ball, man.
He's got great feet at the line, doesn't he?
Yeah, when he goes, he goes.
Yeah, you know when he's playing reserve grade, you've got the marks of a team that's starting to come together, right?
Yeah, this would be a good little litmus test for them against the Storm. They may get touched up, but they just need to try and compete as best as they can. Full stop. Just to give them a bit of confidence. If they can come out of this game, you know, on the weekend thinking we gave it our best and we didn't get touched up, we made a good contest of it.
Yeah.
this would be good for them for the rest of the year.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
They probably weren't expecting to win any of the few opening games, so they've already won one.
Yeah, exactly right.
So
The concern for me is just the Melbourne Storm mentality. It's almost like the Tigers feel like they're in the game, much like the Bulldogs were last week, and then all of a sudden the hooter goes and you're like, fuck, we just lost by 3 tries.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nothing of great substance really happened. Addo Carr makes an 80-metre break
That's right.
and it goes the length to score. Like just little things like that start to accumulate. And I heard a good point made, I think it was on NRL 360, that they just capitalise on those 50-50 clutch moments more than any other team. They just make you pay when it counts.
Yep.
You know, if you give them that back-to-back set, they're going to take it. You know,
that's something that the Broncos used to be known for. But now it's the Storm. That's their trademark. They're the clinical team.
Yeah.
They do make you pay.
They don't care how they do it.
No, they don't. No, they're ruthless.
Yeah.
They're absolutely ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The result is the 2 points.
That's right.
If it's by 1 or 100,
Doesn't
they
matter.
don't give a fuck. No. Ooh, good luck, West Tigers. Alrighty, on to Sunday footy. Manly versus Para. I'm looking forward to this game. Anything with Para involved at the moment, I'm keen to see it, especially after losing, but showing such dominance. I'm keen to see how they bounce back. And, you know, how do Manly respond now? All of a sudden, they're expected to go and beat Newcastle despite the changes made to the Knights roster this season. And now it's like, now we're coming up against Para, who, you know, are touted as a genuine top 4 chance. They've pretty much kept the same roster. They've swapped Radradra for fucking Jared Hayne, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
You know, hardly the worst trade you could ever make in rugby league. I'm really keen to see how they bounce back.
I love watching their back line. I love watching it. I love watching Moses.
Yeah.
There was one run he made on the weekend where he just got the ball at first receiver, and before he even caught the ball, he'd already stepped.
Yes.
And he was just bang through the line.
And then what about Norman's
So
dummy to
good.
score that try?
Yeah, so good.
Fucking
I love
hell.
seeing that direct run from the halves.
Yep.
I love it. Sucks him in. Next time he gets the ball, you know the players are going to commit to him.
Yeah.
So he opens it up for his backs. And when you got players like Jennings and Hayne and Bevan French, you know, coming around the back, it's pretty lethal.
Yeah.
And also, just want to give a shout out to Josh Hoffman. I know you're not listening, but just give you a shout out anyway. Yeah. Cheers, bro. No, I just reckon he had a sick game on the weekend for the Eels, and it was good to see him getting some game time.
Yeah, for sure. Do you see him being the player that gets pushed out once Gutherson comes back?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? Either him or Kirisomiava are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think at the moment it's 50-50, but Hoffman, the way he played on the weekend, certainly not doing
Keeps doing that, yeah.
any injustice.
I really like the fact that Brad Arthur's kept the same team. Because I felt it was just a few, not even really that necessarily fundamental errors. It was just when Moses, you know, he gets that HIA and then he gets sin binned as well. Like, that's tough. And they just couldn't swing the momentum back.
No, they couldn't.
They just lost the ruck. But I don't think it's anything close to panic stations for these guys.
No.
You know, and they've got great depth. You know, you see in the reserves there, Will Smith, Kenny Edwards, Dave Gower, and Kaiser Pritchard. Like, all those guys can play and played the majority of the season for them last year. Those guys.
Absolutely.
So, you know, that's evidence of a club that's on the rise.
Definitely.
And I thought Brad Takarangi, you know, I was very skeptical on how he was going to go. You know, you had someone who played international footy for the first time last year, and then all of a sudden he comes back to clubland. He's been taken out of his normal position and put to the bench. So he's not even in the starting 13. So to see him come on and react the way he's did through that beautiful cutout pass on that right edge.
That's the thing about Takarangi, though. He's got such a good attitude.
Yeah,
he just wants
much that
way.
way.
He just wants to win.
Yep.
And he's a team player.
Yep.
You can tell. He's never been a hog. He's always passed the ball. He's always looked for the outside faster man.
Yep.
That sort of. I honestly I rate him so highly.
Oh, definitely.
Any team would love to have a player like Brad Takarangi.
Yep.
Whether it's on the bench or not.
And as far as Manly goes, it was quite evident that the pressure started to mount a little bit too much on Cherry Evans. Obviously, the effects of losing Blake Green replaced with the largely untested Lockie Croker.
Yeah.
For me, Tom Trbojevic, he's just got to find another gear now.
Yeah.
He's got to find a way to get his hands on the footy more, and start playing a bit more of, you know, the fullback role that we've come to know that was revolutionised by Billy Slater. You know, you've got to get your hands on the footy and play a bit of ball playing, just to help relieve the pressure off Evans. If you can't do that, it's going to be a god-awfully long season for Manly, I feel. They've got all the makings to be good, and they're no doubt going to play good in patches, much like they did against the Knights. You know, they let in that really early try and then responded straight away with that try to George Tafua and stripped them really well on that left-hand edge in attack. But again, you know, Anfanil Blake's got to stand up. Marty Tapau, Joel Thompson, they need him to find the form. You know, generate some sort of partnership with their half.
Isn't he a big unit?
Yeah, exactly. Curtis Sirenen, he's got to play 10 times better than he did last week. He played fucking terrible.
Mate, tell you what, he's got some bad games in him.
Yeah.
He only
Got to
plays
drop ball in him.
there.
Mate, he got absolutely pants by Ponga in that first 6 minutes.
Yeah.
One-on-one, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, he's got to stand up. And leadership-wise, characteristics shown by Jake Trbojevic, very uncharacteristic. Lost his fucking cool.
Yeah.
As soon as I seen that happen with about 12 or so minutes ago, I'm like, they're dust.
Yeah, you knew it was
You know, when you're looking for someone to lead you and they can't control themselves, what fucking hope do you have?
And Trbojevic is usually so calm and collected.
So weird, eh?
He's passionate and he gets fired up, but he's usually very calm and collected when it counts.
Yeah, it was very odd. So
probably just pure frustration.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy trip going Lotto Land, fucking Brookvale Oval.
Yeah, Lotto Land.
But I like Para. They're underdogs. I think they're like $2.10 outsiders. But I just, as you echoed earlier, that spine, you know, French, Hoffman, Jennings, Hayne, Ava'a, and then you got the halves in Norman and Moses, who are just as electric athletically as anyone in that 1-5 jersey. If the way that Manly are going to maintain their dominance in this game is in the forwards. If they can get over the top of this Eels pack, there'll be a chance. But if they lose the ruck. You know, and it's not to say it can't happen. They fucking did it last week. They lost the ruck last week, and it didn't matter how much flair they had. They just couldn't get the footy to them. But for me, I like Parramatta in a close one.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I was going to say Eels by 2. Mm-hmm. If Seagulls hadn't let go of Blake Green, I reckon they'd be having such a better year this year.
Correct.
I honestly, I don't think they're in trouble. I think they've still got a good chance, but I think that at the moment with the halves pairing of Lachlan Croker and Daly Cherry Evans, I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, it's not threatening.
I think the Eels will get up, for sure.
Beauty. Last game of the round. We're almost home. Canberra Raiders versus the Newcastle Knights. Well. It's one of those things. It's like, do we ride the hype train of Newcastle? Did the Raiders throw a game away? Which way does it go? How do we approach this?
These two teams in the last few years, every time they've played, have been crackers and
belter, yeah.
I think it was one of them last year or might have been the year before when they went for that field goal and Jordan Rapana ran through and caught the ball on the dead ball line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And he went
Newcastle.
Yes.
It was in Golden Point.
Yep.
So and that was heartbreaking for Newcastle. So that'll be in their memory banks, obviously.
Yeah.
But even though there's not many players in that team that were even probably there. But,
yeah, that's fair.
But look, Raiders and Knights is going to be a cracker. I reckon it's going to be another relatively high scoring game.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see, man. I don't know what train you ride. You ride the Raiders on the down or the Knights on the rise.
Well, we see Joe Tarpanay's out with a broken finger, so Elliot Whitehead moves back to the back row. Luke Bateman comes in at lock. Aiden Caesar's been dropped back to the bench, so Blake Austin will start at 6 alongside Sam Williams. And Jared Croker's been given the tick of approval after getting fucking knocked to Mars last week by Conrad Harold. Did you see that? Wow, good luck, Chuck. And we see, again, no changes to another winning side, although Jamie Buhrer is in a little bit of doubt. For me, that change, I prefer Whitehead on an edge. That's when they played their best footy, when it was Whitehead, Leilua and Rapana.
Whitehead's got great ball skills, man.
Yeah.
Great
I think it was wasted in the middle last week.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Whereas Bateman, he's a little fucking battering ram.
Bateman is a lock.
He's a butterball.
He's a pure lock.
Yeah.
Bateman, he really is. He gets in, he runs hard, tackles hard. Mm-hmm. That's all you need in the middle. Elliot Whitehead, he's got more flair, gets on the edge, creates, he's great with 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s.
Yeah.
Really good pass selection.
And I tell you the other inclusion that I'm stoked to see, Charlie Gubb, number 17, signed from the Warriors last year. Wynnum old boy. He's got plenty of fucking ticker.
He does.
And he just goes off like a frog in a sock. And he's so good for club culture. You know, you always see him doing funny shit when he was doing any sort of media stuff for the Warriors. He was always the fucking butt of all jokes and throwing chat at Wynnum. I think, for me, looking at those sides, that could be the difference. Just a little bit of variation and some energy brought off the bench. Elliot Whitehead back to the edge. Luke Bateman, like we said, he's not going to let you down. Shannon Boyd, I think he's finally starting to fucking grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
He played really, really well last week. I'm expecting a bit more from Josh Papali as well and Sia Soliola. I thought they were both a little bit quiet. Yeah. Didn't play bad, but as far as the standards of football that we know they both can play. But again, you know, if things only continue to improve for the Knights, fuck, who knows? I think I've actually tipped the Knights, but the more I sort of look at this and get excited, and it's Canberra at home, and it really is a toss of a coin because it is so hard. You know, it's such early days. We've only seen one game from both of them, but I'm very much more leaning towards the idea that the Raiders, they lost the game last week. The Titans didn't win it.
Yeah, okay.
And we've got to, even though they're getting the full turnaround, Knights have played nearly 90 minutes last week.
Yeah.
How does that affect them? You know, they've got some young forwards in there. They've got some old forwards in there. How do they respond to that?
Well, but are they still riding on the high from it too?
Yes.
Well, that could get them through it.
Yes, because they could have easily lost that game.
Absolutely, and they would have last year.
Yeah.
They would have.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to tip the Knights on this one.
All
I'm
right.
going to go Knights 2 from 2. I just think Kalen Ponga, Mitchell Pearce, Herman Esiesi, Slade Griffin. I don't know. I just love their team, man. I just love looking at it.
Yeah.
Just love reading their team. It's great. They've got some really good players, and I think they got too much. I don't know. I think they got too much for the Raiders.
All right. Well, I'll make at least 1 point of difference then. I'll get on the Raiders then, so at least we're one different.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, man. Well, I think that just about sums everything up. I don't think we need to really say anything more. There's no more questions on here from anyone, is there? No, that's all us. Oh, there. Shout out to Peter Gubb, brother of Charlie.
Oh, is it actually?
Shout out, brother. Tell him you say good luck. Go to the Green Machine, give him the Viking clap. Righty, gang.
Don't give him the clap.
Brother, pleasure as always.
Awesome,
get you on as much as we can,
mate.
Yeah, like I said, regardless of whether Cuth's here next week, I'll do the review. I much prefer this format. Yeah. It's way more enjoyable for even me. I sort of get sick of the sound of my own voice at times, and it's good to get other people's perspective.
Absolutely.
And even if it does mean we have to talk about the Broncos a little bit more. Rightio, gang. Take it easy, 8. We'll see you next week.